Buonasera a tutti, good evening and welcome to the Italian Radio Hour. Io sono Viviana and I would like to welcome back our regular listeners and also welcome any new listeners. Also, be sure to like us on Instagram and Facebook at the Italian Radio Hour and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any past video interviews. Vorrei dare il benvenuto ai nostri ascoltatori da tutto il mondo, grazie per essere con noi anche oggi mentre continuiamo il nostro viaggio per l'Italia e la cultura italiana. Today I'm very, very excited to have a fellow Roman joining us for this very interesting conversation about the relationship, the collaboration and potential for new collaboration between Italy and the United States. Our guest will be Umberto Mucci. We all know the Italians, which is a network where people can share, promote, and be informed about anything that is happening in Italy and in the US. But before bringing Umberto to the program, a little pubblicità. Parli italiano? Do you want to learn, improve, or master your Italian? Istituto Mondo Italiano can help. Located in the heart of Regent Square, Mondo Italiano offers small group classes and one-on-one private tutoring to help you learn Italian in no time. Visit us online at www.istitutomondoitaliano.org. And the moment is here. Benvenuto al programma, Umberto. Buonasera.
Grazie, Viviana. Thank you very much. Ciao. Hi to everybody who is listening and watching all over the world.
Okay, so if you're remotely connected with anything that is Italian, Umberto is probably a very familiar face to all of you. The movement, the work, and everything that Umberto does behind and also in front of the scene, so to speak, has enabled us to stay informed about what is happening in Italy, and also a lot of initiatives happening in the US that concern the Italian American contingency and population. But just in case we don't want to take anything for granted, I would like for Umberto to share with our audience how did your journey start? So a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Viviana. So the journey started as Columbus. I didn't know very much what I was doing and where I was going to. I started because my love for the United States was known by all my friends, and this friend of mine asked me to start to interview people for a newspaper, an Italian newspaper called L'Opinione. And so I started asking questions to people, and this was 11 years ago. And what I wanted to do is broaden as much as possible the spectrum. And so the first interview I did was with a visionary who was Italian. Was and is in Silicon Valley, and would bring Italian innovators to Silicon Valley. The second one was to an American who was the superintendent of the Sicily-Rome American Cemetery near Rome. So two completely different persons. One was Italian in the United States, the other one was American in Italy. One was looking at the future, the second one was looking at the past. But what they had in common was the link between Italy and the United States. And so on, I've done 300 interviews, and every one of them has the same fil rouge, the same link. The fact that in a way, somebody tells me something about one relationship between Italy and the United States, one point of view that could be looking at the past, the future, art, enterprise, culture, immigration, you name it. And I learned a lot from these leaders, these people who have been kind enough to answer my questions. Then I started to do a website. And then I knew that there was a lot of hidden gems in the Italian American community, a lot of beautiful people, not only in the Italian American community, which is the one done by people who are born in the United States, but of Italian roots, but also among the people who were born here in Italy and then moved to the United States, like you, as I understand. these are two different kind of groups. First of all, because Italian Americans are 20 million, and the Italians who moved there but were born in Italy are 200,000. But also because there are differences, but there is something in common, which is the love for the two countries. So I studied the website, and then on and on, I understood that there was a lot of things that I could and had to promote. And so now, to cut a long story short, we have a website with 75,000 contents. Every day we have an aggregator of news that promotes 25 news about Italy, positive news about Italy, or things about Italy and the United States. We have these 300 interviews that are published in the website, in the magazine, and in books. We publish 9 books. The magazine is monthly, online, for free, in English, with 20 columns about Italian excellencies and the 2 interviews. Every month I do 2 interviews. There's also a newsletter which goes to 100,000 people all over the country. We divided the United States in 9 areas, so there are actually 9 newsletters every month, with a part which is common to everyone and a part which is customized for the area. We also have an archive of 1,400 websites regarding something Italian in the United States from a non-commercial point of view. We also have a podcast, video and audio, with more than 350 episodes, and not more than, we are reaching 350 actually next month. And I started it the second day of the lockdown in 2020. So we are approaching to the 3rd anniversary. It was March 10, I think, and
happy anniversary next week.
A lot of people from the United States were calling me and saying, "But are you really in lockdown? What's happening? It's impossible." And so I started to, I switched on my webcam and I started to say, "But what's happening? We were in lockdown. We were locked down in our houses, and actually,
the experiences were very different between the US and a completely different. So having someone on the ground in reporting from Rome, I'm sure was of invaluable. It was invaluable. So because of the privilege, I mean, the fact that you are based in Rome, you're probably very active in the Rome sphere, or the Italian sphere of activities, organizations, and so forth. So can you tell us a little bit about what your activities are in Italy, in Rome?
Well, basically in Italy, I represent the Italian American Museum of New York here in Italy. But basically, I represent the Italian American community because, as incredible as it seems, only the older sons and daughters of Italy in America have a couple of lodges here in Italy, and also another organization called Fil Italia has chapters here in Italy. But aside of these 2 wonderful organizations, there is no Italian American representative here in Italy. So in a way, I do represent them because I always talk about Italian Americans. I always cherish this community, and of course also the community of Italians who were born here and then moved to the United States. I basically represent the wonderful things that happen when Italy and the United States meet. And there's a lot of things to represent, to say, to promote, to tell, because I think that Italy needs more America and America needs more Italy. And of course, when I say that, people can disagree, and that's okay, of course. But I always say here in Italy, in particular, to people who does not believe that Italy needs more America, look, there's 20 million people testimonies about this fact, the Italian Americans. So it's not my idea, it's something proven. Because I think that the talent, the resiliency, and the Italian DNA is particularly boosted, gets particularly good fuel by the American business-friendly environment. And at the same time, the United States needs more Italy, because Italians did a lot of wonderful things and continue to do a lot of wonderful things to the United States. in terms of economy, culture, sport, entertainment, enterprise, innovation, you name it. Both the Italian Americans and the Italians who move from here to there. So it is something particularly interesting for Italy. I think that we should learn a lot by some of the things that happen in the United States. Nobody's perfect, no place is perfect, but the union of the two countries, I think it's a perfect storm. It's something that could beneficiate for both countries, both people. And in particular, I think that those who have been living the two environments, have been breathing the two countries, have a particularly advantage to all the others. This is what I try to explain here.
I totally agree, and that's also the philosophy that behind the Italian Radio Hour. We are in Pittsburgh, a city that is famous for its bridges, to bridge all the different nuances of sfumature of Italianness that there exist out there, because the conversation has to be fluid, like the Tevere. And also, when I first came to the United States, not having been exposed to American culture, I traveled throughout Europe extensively. I was very welcome, because the reputation of being Italian nowadays is something that is embraced with warmth if people are of Italian origin, or of interest if people are in research and many other fields that Italy excels in. But I have to admit, I was very unaware of the Italian-American experience of like 100 years ago. So in my dealings with people that maybe had fond memories of their grandparents, but had lost the language, I was a little bit caught back. I didn't know how to deal with that, and it took me a while. It took me a lot of curiosity, a lot of reading. You have to study to actually understand more of the Italian-American experience and what people have gone through, so that now the younger generation, us, the professionals, can benefit from all those struggles and discrimination. On the other hand, also, especially during lockdown, we started to do everyday cooking videos. But the idea was to propose recipes that you wouldn't normally come across in a restaurant. And I have to tell you, the most interesting fact was the studying of the origin of those recipes, not only the region and what the landscape was in that region, what historical events were happening in that region that impacted food waste and so forth. And the more we study about, we Italians study about Italians, become more informed, and can also have, I think, better glasses to interpret the Italian-American experience and keep that dialogue open. So, and you have done a wonderful job indeed in that conversation, and you could not have chosen a better logo.
Thank you.
A motto, with Italians, 2 flags, 1 heart, because the passion is there. And again, here it flows seamlessly. There is no conflict. There is no, it just, it goes this way, it goes that way, back and forth. So the other thing about your yearbooks, for anyone that wants to know who is who in the Italian-American community, they're very informative and occupying a teeny tiny space in the podcasting area. I know how much work it goes into every single interview. And for you, it doubles up, because you have also to translate the material. If the interview was done in one language, you had to translate in the other one, and vice versa. I want to pick your brain. How do you go about picking your guests?
Well, it's
like
a very
secret sauce, right?
It's a very complicated process. First of all, because I am a very complicated person. Second, because after 300 interviews, there's a lot of room I covered, and I always try to do a different interview. Everyone, I hope that it's different from all the 300s before, which is almost impossible because with 300 people telling 300 things, you know, a lot of ground is covered. And then I try to do interviews that are long, I always tell the person who I interview, please feel at home, relax, use as much space as you need. If you want to add the sentence, please do it. If you want to deepen a thought, please do it. This means that these are long interviews. I always ask 7, 8, 9, 10 questions. I try to cover all the possible things that are interesting from a person. And, you know, I am lucky enough to meet people who are very interesting and they do a lot of beautiful things. Now, another interesting thing that I understand is not seen from outside, but it takes a lot of time and effort, is that I try to differentiate. Let's say that I interview somebody from New York. I try to have 4 or 5 or 6 months before I do another interview to another person from New York. Or if I ask something, if I interview somebody about something that looks at the past, I try then to wait a little bit of time before publishing another interview that looks at the past. Or I try as much as I can to alternate women and men, which is not very easy because I gotta say, we still live in a very misogynist world where the roles, the important roles are covered more by men than by women. I always try to interview somebody who has a title, who I can describe, the founder of something, the author of a book, the president of something, not because I do not cherish the simple persons, but because I want to give a title. And it's not that easy because many times I find myself struggling with the fact that there's too many men and there's too few women in the important roles. Now, things are changing a little bit slowly, if you ask me, but I always try. I don't want to do, you know, a yearbook at the end of the year with 24 interviews and realize that I have, let's say, 18 men and 6 women. It doesn't, I don't want that, you know. It's not that I am obsessed, but I think that
keep it balanced.
I have to do my part, you know, as much as I can. Also, I try to alternate people who is in Italy and people who is in the United States, which is not easy because, you know, of course, there's many people in the United States than here that can tell me something about the one angle of the relationship between Italy and the United States. But luckily, there's a lot of people very interesting here too. And so every month I have 2 interviews that I can spread, that I can promote throughout the social media or throughout the newsletter, the magazine, the website, and then the books that try to cover a different angle. And it is a very time-consuming effort and activity. And another thing is that sometimes friends or people suggest somebody, or maybe sometimes I got email from people who raise their candidacy to be interviewed, but they don't understand how much work there is behind to try to alternate, to try to, you know, say different stories. And I always try to be very kind in when I say no, in explaining that it's not that I don't find interesting their story, but maybe I already covered a similar story, or you know, there are reasons. So it's a very particular and time-consuming but satisfying activity.
Indeed, I can again, I can relate to that. Now,
and sorry, Viviana, sorry, I have to say that luckily for me, almost all the times that I have to translate something from Italian to English, I have somebody who helps me, and please let me thank her because she is a wonderful person, a wonderful friend, our ambassador in Michigan, and her name is Sandra Thornberg. She's an Italian-American. She's a wonderful person. She helps me so much. So
diamo a Cesare quel che è di Cesare.
Absolutely, I have to thank
Let's
her.
give credit.
She's our ambassador, because I forgot to tell you that we have ambassadors in each and every state of the United States.
Yes, how do you kind of cover, and do you have representatives in all states or in a good portion of the United States?
Actually, in all states, and now we started to have 2 in California, because of course
it's a territory.
It's a very big territory, and we'll probably start to have more in New York too. These are persons who are in the middle almost always of the Italian/Italian-American community in that state. These are people that are good people. Most of them are, I can consider them friends of mine, and they represent us. I am always at their disposal. We also have 20 representatives in 20 regions in Italy, and we also have thematic ambassadors to immigration, art, tourism, and other items and other topics. And I always try not to bother our ambassadors too much. I mean, if there's something concrete, actual, a project that could be something interesting, I maybe send them an email, or we do a call, and I try to understand if they're interested. But I'm very jealous of them. Somebody, once a week, somebody asks me, can you please give me the phone number of your ambassador there and there? And I always say, no, you write to me. If this is something interesting, I'll forward it to them. Otherwise, because I don't wanna bore them.
Impose on them. Okay.
No, absolutely. I cherish their
is there, because you have interviewed so many people, actually, do you remember what was your first interview, or maybe what was it about?
Yeah, Marco Marinucci. Marco Marinucci is the founder of Mind the Bridge. He was born in Genoa, and was 11 years ago, and still is in Silicon Valley. And he brings, in particularly back then, Italian innovators, Italian startups to Silicon Valley to understand what was the environment of Silicon Valley, maybe to fund them and to help them building their business. This was the first one, and last year I interviewed him again, and I tried to ask him what changed, because in 10 years, a lot of things changed, but his love for Italy didn't change.
Well, my question actually, because of that, considering that 11 years have passed, has your format changed? Have you somehow reached a different level, or you just noticed just a lot of consistency in
something changed, because at the beginning, the interviews were just in Italian. Because they would go to the Italian newspaper. They were, at the beginning, they were published in the newspaper in Italian. Then now all of them are on the website, but the first ones, I think they're only in Italian in our news, in our website too. So what changed is that I am more obsessive about try to cover all the possible grounds that somebody could tell me. And I spend more time in doing them. Every time I program something, I try to do something new, and every time is harder, because every time I have more interviews I've done before that I don't want to copy, let's say. Of course, Viviana, I know that nobody would tell me, oh yeah, but 5 years and 6 months ago you did an interview which is similar to this one. Of course not. It's just me. It's all in my head, in the hell of my mind.
The other one is maybe the quirkiest interview that you did. Maybe was the area covered that surprised you?
The quirkiest?
the quirk is this kind of straight, the most surprising one, maybe because of the content or maybe because of the line of business the person was in.
Well, I loved every one of them and every one of the people who I interviewed. If I have to say one, which is a good question, sometimes I do questions like this. It's always interesting and funny. I can tell you that several years ago, I think it was in 2014 or something, I interviewed a wonderful person. Her name is Portia Previs. Mm-hmm. He is a woman born in Indiana and has been in Italy for 50 years and more. And she is the president of the Association of American College and University Programs in Italy. So basically, she manages the most majority of the study abroad programs that have American students coming to Italy. Now, before COVID, we had every year 35,000 students from the United States to Italy. And Italy was the second most important country for incoming of American students. The first one was Great Britain, but of course, in Great Britain, they speak English, which is something particularly important for this. Now I know that things are getting more or less at the numbers we had before COVID. I don't know if they already are exactly at 35,000. I don't know this, but things are getting better and better. And Portia Previs, which is a wonderful person, she wrote a book about this experience, the experience of having American students studying in Italy for a semester, and it's called Educating in Paradise. Now, Viviana, I don't know how many of our listeners and watchers know that many times in Italy, especially young people, they're not very happy of being here, of being Italian, of living in Italy, of being born in Italy. They see a lot of problems. They're not very happy. Yes, of course, they're young. I understand. But having somebody who manages the incoming of American students from the United States, writing a book about this, calling it Educating in Paradise, it's amazing for me. And I always say that I would like to bring her like a Madonna on the throne in every school in Italy, because if I can change the idea of at least one person, one kid in the classroom by having them listening to what Portia says and who refers about the enthusiastic comments from the American students, well, I would be very happy. I asked her, okay, now I understand that these guys, these kids, after 6 months living in Italy, they miss their parents, they miss their kids, they miss their home, their friends, maybe the fiance or the girlfriend, the boyfriend, or however we want to call these things today, which I don't know. But you know what I mean? They will be happy to go back. And she said, no, we have to make their luggage, because otherwise they wouldn't leave. They want to stay. And so this is amazing, because we in Italy, we have to understand that we are talking about kids from the United States, not from a poor third world country. Not that I have something against them, of course, but we are talking about people who come from the United States. And they were educated in Paradise for being a semester here in Italy. This is something that I would like to spread all over my country.
Okay, so before we segue into the second part of the interview, another little pubblicità. Un caffè, per favore. My first cup of coffee sets the tone for my entire day, and I get my coffee at La Prima Espresso. La Prima Espresso has been brewing Pittsburgh's best coffee for nearly 35 years. Try any of their in-house roasted varieties of beans from all over the world at home, or come and enjoy an espresso or a cappuccino at any of their locations, where their friendly baristas and familiar faces will make you feel at home. Because a trip to La Prima is like a little trip to Italy, only closer to home. Well, with that concept that you were talking about, it looks like, as I said, it's not that the grass is always greener, but we, the Italians in Italy, see some of the challenges that unfortunately our humongous bureaucratic system, could use a little diet, could go on a slim down regimen to create the same opportunities that in the past have, and kind of ongoing that process of the brain drain, where our education system is very good, also in comparison to a lot of countries, including the United States, have a fraction of the cost. So here you have highly educated individuals, but with a debt load that is humongous, and then you go to Italy and again other European universities, you can get a fantastic education of a fraction of the cost. It doesn't always translate Italians at education system being recognized here in the US. Some professions, some fields, we know that people have to kind of go back if they were to move to the US in order to practice the same profession. They will have to redo their bachelor, so they will have to go through some quite cumbersome recognition of their titles and maybe additional exams, but things are changing. There are some universities that will give the opportunity, but we'll let that come out at some point. But again, this back and forth of the talents leads me to the conclusion that maybe the image that people have of Italians doesn't necessarily match the image the Italians have of themselves.
Absolutely. I was supposed to write a book about this thing that I'm about to say, and then of course I only have left the spot between 3 and 3.5 in the morning. But think about the fact that when people say Italian style in the United States, they usually mean something well done with the talent, with the design. Italian style could be a good boat, a good furniture, good food, a good car, a good bag, dress, suit, shoes, blah, blah, blah. Italian style, a good thing. In Italy, when we say all'italiana, which is Italian style in Italian language, we basically say something not good. Something done all'italiana means,
not sophisticated enough.
This is okay. So this is, I think this is incredible, because first of all, I really don't know if there is an exact translation of the same sentence regarding a place, regarding something that regards a country that has a completely 180 degrees shift in the meaning of what people mean when they say it. I don't know if in Spain they say Korean way, and in Korea they say the translation in Korean of Korean way, and it's something completely different. I don't know that, and I just did an example. But what is once again most important and incredible is that we here in Italy mean it in the wrong way, in the bad way. We should say all'italiana, say something fantastic, and we mean the contrary. So this brings me to say that this is one of the reasons why we need the United States. We need more America, because we need more people who understand that we're not perfect, but we have a lot of beautiful talents that is not very recognized always here in Italy. And again, we need to fake it till we make it, which is the American way of thinking, a little bit more here in Italy. Another very important thing we should learn, and I have been saying it for 10 years, is that the reason, the meaning of the failure. Now, you go in Stanford, not Connecticut, Stanford, California. If you want to teach and how to do an enterprise, they vet you, of course. And if you haven't failed at least once, they don't let you teach how to do an enterprise to kids, because they understand, and the United States understand, that failing does not mean that you don't understand anything in your life. It means that you learned something, that you tried, you fall, and then you got up, you understood something, you learned, and then you are better equipped than before. And this is something very important, because life is this, not just making an enterprise, not just a company. In Italy, on the other hand, if you fail, you're a failure. You're a failure. You failed, and you do not deserve anything else, and you're marked for your life. And this is something completely wrong, because the life everywhere is all about falling and then getting back on your feet and learning what you did wrong, and then again and again and again. And so this is something that we should really learn from the United States, the how to learn from failings.
I think, if I may, we are very critical of ourselves, and it could be because we have a very strong old past, so it's much more difficult to erase those prints that a newer culture, because the same philosophy of doing again and resilience is exactly what people have left Italy and moved to other countries have demonstrated. So it's there. But I remember when I moved to the United States, my families, they're all doctors, and I was in high tech trying to explain what I was doing that was completely different from the field that they were familiar with. I was just giving them a headache, So there are certain things where people they're trying to compartmentalize, the experience, and the same thing with feelings of, as I said, the feeling of failure or so forth, because, just to change topic a little bit, and I mean, still talking about the Italy-US and the friendship being so strong. Where do you see areas where, again, that strength is materialized, or do you see potential for new things happening? What's your experience? What's your outlook?
Well, I think that Italy is everywhere in the United States, and sometimes it's very refreshing, because there is a perception of Italy like food and tourism and landscapes and music and opera, which is fantastic, and it is right. But Italy also is innovation. Italy also is research. Italy also is science. Once again, the two countries match perfectly from every single point of view. Now, I think that where we could do better is absolutely, for instance, in the food industry. Of course, Italian food is very appreciated in the United States, and of course, in respect with 30 years ago, there's a lot of Italian food. But for instance, and I hope that nobody will steal this idea. Now
we won't tell anyone.
I am trying to work with the Italian institutions, and hopefully once in my life I will succeed in having them listening to me. What we should do is promote Italian food with Italian American cuisine. Now, listen. In cuisine, there is no match. Italy is so much better than the United States, than everywhere. I gotta say, and given my shape, I can say it with a certain security. Nobody is arguing about this now. Yeah. Okay, one of the important things is that when you speak about the Italian American cuisine here in Italy, either nobody knows it, or they maybe look at the picture of a chicken scarpariello or something, and they are not very interested in trying it. And they do not understand that these dishes come from the experience of the Italians who moved at the beginning of the 20th century from Italy to the United States. They didn't find the products that the earth, the land could give them in Italy. So they tried to shape their recipes with what they had, which was very different. And then they needed a lot of strength to go on. So spaghetti and meatballs means something that is not very expensive and gives you very strength if you have to do 2 or 3 jobs in your day, you know. So basically these recipes changed. Somebody who is bad, ill, could say they degenerated, but they actually changed. And this is how the Italian American cuisine was created, not out of bad, not out of the will to change.
Yeah, resourcefulness.
Yeah.
You know, the same way that a lot of Italian dishes per se were created by opening and using what was left in someone's individual, let's call it fridge or dispensa and so forth.
Yeah.
So,
but what my friend Amy Riolo, who is one of the most important Italian chefs in the United States, and she is the one who takes care of the column of Italian cuisine in our magazine. What she taught me is that, because I asked her, Amy, let me understand something. Now, if I am Michelangelo, okay, and I paint the Sistine Chapel, okay? It's amazing. If somebody else try to copy it, it won't be as perfect as the original, okay? The copy is always something less than the original, okay? Now, the Italian food is simpler than the Italian American food. What I mean is that usually the Italian American dishes have something more over a sauce, an ingredient, something added that makes us Italians say, but why did they put this over also after all the other things? We don't understand. So I asked Amy, but why the original is simpler and the copy or the tribute, call it whatever you want, it's more complicated? Usually is the contrary, you know. The Sistine Chapel is perfect, the copy always lacks something. You understand what I mean?
yeah.
Okay, so the reason is that the Italian dishes are simpler because we have the best products. You don't need to put all these different things over and over and over, because the taste is good because the products are good, not just the recipes. And so what I'm thinking is trying to convince the Italian institutions to invest in a campaign that would say to the Italian Americans, look, we don't want to fight with your recipes, with your dishes. We don't have anything against them. Use Italian products. They're better. Buy Italian products. They're better. And you will see that your dish, your chicken marsala, your whatever it is, chicken Vesuvio, Fra Diavolo, they will be better because the products will be better if they come from Italy, you know? So this is something that could work. And really, what I care is to have Italians and Italian Americans to respect each other with their own cuisine. Because when the Italians came opening their restaurants in the United States, I'm talking about the 70s, the 80s, okay? Okay, now imagine that you are a chef. You come from, which is your city, Rome?
Rome, yes.
Okay, you come from Rome, you know carbonara, matriciana, cacio e pepe, the Roman dishes. You arrive in the United States and you go eat to a restaurant that calls itself Italian. but it is not Italian, it's Italian American, okay? And you're not very happy. Why these guys call themselves Italian and call their dishes Italian, while I know that what I do is Italian and what they do is not Italian? The reason is that not that that restaurant wants to steal the Italian name, is that, as everybody knows, in the United States, everybody comes from a different country. So when they call themselves Italians, what they mean is that they're Italian Americans, because other people call themselves Irish, and they mean that they're Irish American or Mexican American and blah, blah, blah. So this clash happened because nobody told the Italians who would come to Italy, opening their Italian restaurant with Italian recipes, that the other people who were there for decades and they would call themselves Italians, they didn't want to steal the Italian name. It's just that they would call themselves Italians because it would have been like Italian Americans. Before having Italian chefs, the Italian food was the Italian American food because there was no Italian real food. The most important, the most rich producer of mozzarella now opened in 1950 in Denver, Colorado, and it's an Italian American who didn't have mozzarella in 1950 in Denver, Colorado, but he had a lot of cows and animals, and he started its own mozzarella there. Is it like the Italian one? I don't know, because I've never tasted it, but I doubt it. But it sells a lot. Did he do something against Italy? No, he didn't have mozzarella back in 1950 in Colorado. He opened up his own business, and then he started selling a lot of mozzarella done in Colorado. The water is different, the cows are different, blah, blah, blah. So it's a probably different mozzarella. But is he doing something against Italy? No. He was an Italian American, proud of being Italian. And he just wanted to eat mozzarella, you know?
Yes.
If he says it's done in Italy, then okay, it's not good. It's Italian sounding. But otherwise, we don't have to do a war against good people who try to reproduce Italian products. We have to do the war against those who say this is done in Italy while it isn't.
I mean, so my kind of comment to this, we had a couple of interviews where we tackle about the birth of the Italian American cuisine and some of the images that might have actually the infamous spaghetti and meatballs. It was actually a photographic shoot that was supposed to photograph, Caruso's spaghetti that he loved, and whoever did the shoot put the meatballs. He loved spaghetti and meatballs, not necessarily on the same plate. So for us now, we are labeling it as something, that you don't see in Italy. But then if you dig a little deeper, you go to Abruzzo and you have spaghetti alla chitarra con pallotte, smaller meatballs, but the idea of having the little meatballs on top of a dish does exist the same way that there are some other traditions. The other thing is that, happens with all the with anything, there are also the audience expectations of certain things. Like as we were talking about the Italian American experience, the fact that the checkered tablecloth and certain things on the table, that's also, or even the expectation of finding pizza everywhere. Okay. Pizza became so popular because it was the request of also tourists to find pizza, not just in Naples. So, there is this, creating an experience that people now have got accustomed to. I'm sure that the different cuisines that we might call Chinese and Mexican and so forth that we love might be very different from the original ones, but that's also what we have got accustomed to experience. So again, it's indeed an interesting area worth researching. And as I said, Ian McCallan has done a great job with his book Red Sauce to start creating some give us some background on how certain recipes have developed? Well, maybe talk about recipe. We just have time for one, maybe two questions. What would you? What is indeed your ideal recipe of the message that we should continue to promote on both sides? And maybe again, just a minute or so, what's in the future of we the Italians, including maybe a trip here on the East Coast, because I would love to, if it's not in Rome, maybe it'll be easier to meet in Rome, if you have any travels scheduled to the US.
Yes, well, the message is Italy needs more America, America needs more Italy. There is a lot of things that can be improved, implemented, increased between Italy and the United States from both sides, which would beneficiate from both sides. A couple of missions could be regarding the possibility of easing the process of getting the Italian passport for the Italian Americans. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand from this point of view, I told my friends, my Italian American friends, everybody, of course, says, I would like even to pay to have the Italian passport. And everybody, of course, I appreciate this very much. And everybody, of course, thinks about him or her and maybe their family being able to have the red passport. Mm-hmm. Now, there's 60 million potential Italians all over the world. In 20 million in the United States, but then other people in Brazil, Argentina, Australia, and in all the part of the world. Imagine what happens if the 60 million Italians who live here, I am one of them, all of a sudden find themselves with another 60 million people who are Italians and they live abroad. It's not just a fact of services. It's a fact of doubling the number of citizens. It's not something trivial. It's something, it could be exciting, it could be dangerous, it could be scary, it could be an opportunity. Everybody can read a different thing in this, but everybody has to understand that numbers are very big, okay? But this could be a mission. We would like to help letting the Italian institutions understand that the Italian Americans, we talk about the Italian Americans, but I think that it's the same all over the world. But anyway, the Italian Americans are not a burden. They are absolutely a resource, okay? And the other mission I would like to embark is the only thing we side on, because we don't side on any political issue. We try to stay away from politics. We try to stay away from everything that is even remotely political. The only thing we side with is Columbus. And we have been promoting Columbus and the efforts of the Italian American community here in Italy for years, because nobody cares about this in Italy. Nobody knows almost anything about that. And Italy has given to the world so many pioneers that Columbus might be perceived just like one of them. You know, if you have only one, it's 100% of your contribution to the history of the world. If you have 10, it's the 10%. We have 100, so it's just the 1%. There's a lot of people who say, who cares about Columbus? We have Da Vinci, we have so many. But I care about Columbus, and the Italian Americans care about Columbus, and so this is a fight that we want to do. It is the only topic, delicate topic, where we side. We respect those who disagree, of course, but this is the only topic where everybody can understand exactly where we side. Mm-hmm. We're not political, we stay away from politics. We're very scared. I am very scared, Viviana. about the fact that much probably next year there will be an Italian-American candidate, maybe two, who will be running for the same party in the United States for the White House. Not because I'm siding, I'm not saying I'm scared of him or of them. I'm scared about the fact that I will have to understand how to give news about the fact that there's an Italian American who is running for the country. It's a news I cannot not give. But every time I speak about something not political, about the politician, there's a lot of there's a shitstorm, sorry for the word, by people who is angry, and as they read Obama, Trump, Biden, just because they have maybe eaten at an Italian restaurant and they haven't done anything else, they just, oh my God. So I'm very scared about the fact that much probably next year we will have an Italian American running, not because he is running, but because every time I will talk about the fact that there's an Italian American running, there will be a lot of people angry. Oh, so your true colors, blah, blah, blah. And this is very upsetting because I've seen a lot of angry people, and I don't like it. With Italians, it's a safe space. We have 57,000 likes on our Facebook page. Everybody who knows Facebook tells me that the algorithm awards where there's a flame, people who is fighting, blah, 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 because the algorithm helps making more likes. And I always say, I don't want those likes. I don't want people infuriating.
You want people to like one another, not Facebook. You like
a safe space. I don't want people who insult. If somebody is not able to express themselves without insulting, they're not welcome with Italians. Whatever is their idea, I don't care.
Yeah.
Left,
respect
right,
first. Yeah.
Respect, exactly. So this is and about the travels. Yeah, I stayed 3 years away from the United States, of course, during COVID. It hasn't been easy. Then I came to Florida in January. I'll be back in New York in April.
April?
Yeah,
April?
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
let me know.
Yeah. I may come to maybe the Great Lakes for something. I'm not spoiling anything because I'm not certain, in September, and I'll definitely come back to New York and DC in October. Okay. So these are the trips that are more or less scheduled. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope that you and I will be able to meet up during any of these occasions. But unfortunately, our time together is up. Il Big Ben ha detto stop. It's time for us to say arrivederci e alla prossima. We want to thank you for tuning into the program. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have any travel topics you would like us to address, please contact us at theitalianradiohour@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Remember, if you or any of your friends and family have missed a prior episode or would like to listen to this episode again, please visit our website at www.istitutomondoitaliano.org and click on the Italian Radio Hour tab. You can also subscribe to the Italian Radio Hour on YouTube or where you catch your favorite podcasts. We would like to thank our guest, Umberto Mucci, our sponsors, Istituto Mondo Italiano, and Alla Boara for the music. Until next time, alla prossima. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Ciao, grazie. Thank you.